As you can imagine, this tragedy is weighing heavy on the St. Louis City Fire Department right now after losing one of their own in that fire. And while fire department has not released an official name of the person, we do know a little bit of information. He is in his 30s. I just want to point out this memorial. It's just been continuing to grow. You see more flowers out here on display here at police headquarters. Over 24 hours since the Pontoon Beach community learned that 36-year-old Tyler Timmons was killed on duty. There's still police presence on scene here at the Quick Trip in St. Peter's. You can see that there is police tape all over the Quick Trip where that carjacking and shooting took place this morning. The St. Louis County Port Authority says now the plan is to issue a formal request for proposals to abate the property and eventually tearing down the 145-acre site. Well, it's clear from the crowd we're seeing outside the Dome tonight that a lot of people are excited for tonight's first day of the women's Olympic trials. She battled COVID-19 in the hospital for 2 months, and during that time she also had to worry about the health and safety of her premature baby. Face masks right now are required by federal law to be worn on public transportation, including school buses like the ones you see behind me. Large displays and obviously a large crowd that was here tonight. You can see a lot of them fanning out from the Gateway Arch Park. Corey, that vigil just started moments ago here with music playing. Everyone gathering here right outside the Amazon warehouse. Such a tragic 24 hours for the community here in West County. Now there are 3 separate GoFundMes for each of the victims that died in this crash, and we'll have a link to each one on KMOV.com and on our news app. Corey.
A tragedy that has rattled the West County area for sure. Gabby, thank you.
Just glad. Sorry.
An emotional Leonard Cox remembering the terrifying moment, becoming a hostage in his own home.
Yeah, I thought there's a really good possibility I was going to not come out here alive.
Wednesday afternoon, Cox got a knock on his patio door, and Ray Tate was standing there holding a gun, demanding to stash a car inside Cox's garage.
We went outside. That's when I noticed the other gentleman in the car, and he looked pretty frazzled and scared, which, you know, I would be too, you know.
Cox says police cars started approaching the home shortly after. That's when he and the other hostage, Tate allegedly kidnapped from St. Charles County, were taken down to the basement.
Went downstairs, and he's on the phone with his sister. I think it was his sister. He had the other guy take one of my old computer monitors and kind of set it up like a mirror so he could see up the basement steps.
At one point, Cox says the other hostage managed to bolt back upstairs and out of the house. That's when Cox says Tate started to get more agitated and fired off a round.
He's on the phone with the negotiators, and he's telling him that he wants his sister to come and give him a hug and goodbye, and then he was going to like give himself up. Well, I sitting there thinking, that's probably not going to happen. And he told the cops that, you know, that they have 2 minutes, and after 2 minutes, he's going to fire 1 round every minute, and then the third one's going to be in me. So, and at one point in time, he had the gun, he had the police on the phone, and I'm laying on the concrete floor, and he grabs the gun, sticks it right on my forehead, and he says, tell him where the gun's at.
Cox says he was probably held hostage at least 30 minutes before he was rescued by SWAT members.
Flashbang goes off. They were running down the stairs, got us separated, and then that was pretty much it.
He says he's grateful to all the law enforcement agencies who showed up on scene and that Tate was stopped before any more people got hurt.
Thankful that my friend that lives with me and her kids weren't here at the time.
Cox says he didn't know Tate, but believes Tate may have picked his house because both of his garage doors were opened at the time and one of the bays was empty, which could have presented as an opportunity for Tate to stash the car. Gabriela Vidal, News 4. I spoke to 2 family members of those 6 workers who died when a tornado ripped through this Amazon warehouse plant here in Edwardsville. Now they tell me that they're in disbelief by this tragedy and more than anything, wish they had more time.
And I heard him say that he had to go, and tell someone else.
Carla Cope retelling the last moments she spoke with her son, Clay Cope.
I mean, you just don't think that it can be real.
Who was working inside the Amazon warehouse for a maintenance contracting company when a tornado tore through the building.
We cooked a lot together on Sunday. So yeah, I wish he was here for that.
29-year-old Clay was known for his sense of humor and generosity.
He just liked to have fun. He liked to travel. He liked to ride his Harley, and he liked to fish and hunt.
And as a former member of the Navy for 6 years, he always went out of his way to help others.
He was a wonderful person, and he's going to be sorely missed, and it leaves a hole in our heart.
I think that's the hardest part, is learning how to do things that we did together without him.
That hole in Carla's heart also being felt by Justice Verdon, whose father, Larry, died inside the warehouse.
He was a fun-loving outdoors person. He'd rather be the jokester and picking on people just to make them laugh. And he was the one that I knew when the world fell apart that I was going to call.
Larry, who also served in the military, had only been working there as a driver for 5 months.
So he was over in Iraqi.
He was in Iraq.
And, you know, he's been over there.
He had a missile fly over his head.
And laying like 200 yards away from him.
He was our hero.
As Justice and Larry's fiance, Cherry Jones, navigate the pain, they're also left with questions about what happened inside the warehouse.
They told us that they couldn't leave. My dad wanted to leave at 8:20. That tornado didn't touch down for almost 20 minutes later. He could have been home. There should have been no reason a concrete building should be lifting off the ground. There's no reason that 11-inch thick concrete should be falling onto people.
While Carla has questions, she also says her son would have still taken the risk to help others inside.
Just something that you can't foresee, you can't control, and unfortunately I'm not the only person that's been affected by it.
In Edwardsville, Gabriela Vidal, News 4. It's a memory that still remains far too gruesome and vivid for Catherine Rose.
And I'm trying to stay strong, but it's so hard.
On Wednesday afternoon, she was attacked by a neighbor's dog right outside her home.
My fingers ate up so bad it's deep down, close to the bone, to where I have to go to a surgeon.
Screaming for her life.
I mean, the worst scream I ever heard. It was a blood-curdling scream.
Neighbor and Ferguson officer Drew Canady and his four-legged partner sprung into action.
And I grabbed my robe because I was in my underwear, and I go running out the door. And by the time I got to her, her son Reggie had a broom and he's trying to hit the dog. I didn't feel safe discharging my weapon with her arm in this dog's mouth.
Canady then ran to get Ozzy.
I came back to my front door, said, "Ozzy, get him." And he knew exactly what to do. He went straight for that dog and he hit that dog full force, getting that dog to release her arm.
Ozzy kept fighting the neighbor's dog for over 20 minutes before that dog's owner came out to try to restrain him.
When Pancho first let go of Ozzy, he turned around and grabbed his own owner, bit his own owner in the calf. This dog is super aggressive. And why the door was left open for him to get out, I don't know.
One of the owners of the dog who started the attack declined to speak on camera, but tells News 4 they are grateful Canady and Ozzy got involved to help Rose. They have since put their dog down after the attack and because of the injuries he sustained, while Ozzy also sustained serious puncture wounds.
Yeah, you're a lifesaver.
This good boy is in good spirits, receiving rubs and pets fit for a hero.
Thank God for Drew, the police officer, to stay next door to me and his dog. His dog saved my life.
I'm a very proud papa.
In Ferguson, Gabriela Vidal, News 4.
We as a family is very lost, and it hurts more knowing that them lives are gone.
That's the voice of a family relative of 18-year-old Prince Shun McLean. She's speaking to me anonymously for the first time following his arrest in the shooting death of 26-year-old Tori Menisco, 27-year-old Terry Bankhead, and 8-year-old Denilah.
We sorry. We have no justifications to put forth as what them actions, where they even came from. I want to know if and when I can ever just get an answer. I want to know what did it, because I never saw this. I never saw this.
McLean's relative says she always saw him as a quiet young man who got into trouble, but never imagined he would take a life.
I don't think he personally knew the women, and I don't think it was a heinous act against them because they were women. I believe it was opportunity and impulse.
She says the family has been doing their part to help get answers, including his grandmother, who lived in the apartment below Bankhead, and her daughter. McLean would sometimes stay with his grandmother.
She was not at home. She had left her house that morning after being asleep all night. So she's not aware of anything. And when she returned home, it all unfolded from that point on.
McLean's relative says she knows there's nothing they can say to bring back these innocent lives, but she hopes the public knows they also want him brought to justice.
He's responsible for his own actions. It's not us as a family. No one in his family saw this as something that he can do.
Gabriela Vidal, News 4.